Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any game master.
Today, we're going to talk about how to improvise those encounters as they come and how to make those heroes the heroes of your one shot or campaign. Let's go. Hey everybody, Don Franco 3 here. Welcome to RPG Boons, where we talk about everything RPG and how everything is RP. Now, as I said before, dungeon masters make the world go round. Believe me. And if you're a GM or a DM, just a creator of worlds, then you know that I'm speaking the truth. For RPG boons, I'm going to show you a bonus boon. Let's go over that one shot to campaign video very quickly, add some extra tips in there to really get those players hooked and staying in that game. Let's go. So in the one shot to campaign video, we started with 3 potential scenarios for that one shot. Was it trolls? Was it goblins? Or was it something about the undead or things happening in the cemetery that caused people to go missing? Now remember, we pulled all those players to this little town known as Braga to investigate what happened to these people. It's a one shot, so it's possible that your players did not create a backstory. But if they did, it's very important at any given time to use those backstories and incorporate them into your stories. Remember, you're the game master. You've probably built an entire world already. Sometimes it's a mistake, but sometimes it's okay. Now, it's only a mistake if you don't incorporate those player backgrounds and make them part of your story. It is your job to create the stories, but let the players determine the outcome. If you recall, we said potentially there was a troll that was taking some of the people, or people have gone missing chasing the troll. In addition, we mentioned some goblins, some goblin raids. There's nothing in the monster manual that says trolls and goblins cannot work with each other. And if it does, who cares? You're the game master. You could do whatever you want. So, one potential thing you can do, remember, sending squads towards them. Now, sending the squads is very important because this gives you a litmus test. It allows you to try to see how strong or how easy these encounters are going to be for your players. As a GM, you have to come up with things on the fly and try to see how your players will be able to handle these monsters. So, one thing you could do is combine the troll and the goblins as one story. And what you could have is the troll in a cave and sending these squads of goblins towards them. Now, originally, I gave a formula for how many goblins you should have. This number is not set. What I want you to do is I would send squads of 4 to 5 goblins towards the players as they're marching towards the cave. Now, again, this is supposed to be about the players. So, as they're marching towards the cave, make sure if you have a ranger, they're doing survival checks. Make sure if you have a druid that you have animals available that they can talk to. And again, sometimes you don't have to make a roll. In order to help those players get to that cave, we want to make it easy. Remember, this is about making the story move forward. We don't want to spend a lot of time doing the most mundane things, and we want the story to continue. What you'll experience as a game master, as things just tend to drag out anyways, as players are talking amongst each other, trying to figure out what to do, the game will take time, no matter what you try to do to make it faster. So I recommend setting very low DCs for those survival checks or for their ability to communicate with animals. And again, be very generous. The story is about them, and it's also about you as the game master, but for you, it's about them trying to help build your world. Let's say we send squads of goblins, 3 to 4, maybe 5 goblins at a time, and they've easily gone through those goblins. They've taken a little bit of damage, but not that much. Now, what you could do is send maybe a squad of 10 to 15 at them at the entrance of the troll cave. Now, depending on how injured they are, remember, I told you to cut that stat blocks for the trolls by half. Then you can send the heroes into the cave to fight this troll. Now, I would recommend having some traps set up just in case. Again, this is just in case your players are sweeping through all your monsters. You want to have a couple of traps. You want to have players do some investigation checks. Depending on how injured they are when they get to this troll, the troll can be by himself, or you can surround them from anywhere between 4 to 5 different goblins. The point being is you don't want to kill your players, but you don't want to make it really easy for them so they don't feel challenged. And trust me, getting close to death for these players is an adrenaline rush for them. Let's move on to the undead scenario. Again, people have been missing. Now you're going out there to check it out. One litmus test you can do, one way to check to see how good your players are going to be able to wipe out these monsters, right after leaving the main area of the town, going down the path, You can easily have 3 to 4 zombies traveling through the path. Or if the players decide not to go the direct route and want to go through those trees, you can have a perception check, see if people see zombies lurking through the trees, and if not, you can have 3 to 4 zombies there. Now, depending on how easily they wipe them out, how damaged they get, that gives you an idea of how many zombies you should have immediately once they get to the cemetery. So now let's imagine a scenario. They get to the cemetery. You hear loud banging happening at the cemetery, and as you look, there's a hero that has fallen at the gate, but somehow managed to close the gate off so no zombies come through. At the gate, you can see 10 zombies hitting, pushing that gate, just getting ready to knock that gate down. What do you want to do? Now, in another scenario, they might want to go all the way around the cemetery. The important thing is that you stick to the plan. Wherever they go, there's also gates there, and the same situation is happening. Keep the story moving forward. It might feel at the time like they're foiling you or they're ruining your plans, but it's easy to incorporate your ideas back into the game at any given time. If they split the party, which of course is always a mistake, then you can split the monsters in half, 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and then they can figure it out thereafter. Now, once they get into the cemetery, again, if they're wiping out these zombies like it ain't nothing, you can say a mist begins to form in the cemetery that begins to make it very difficult for your players to see. Now you can apply a disadvantage to the players. Now, this might seem a little unfair, but again, this really just depends if the players are wiping out the monsters. You want to make it a little challenging. If no one's getting hurt in any kind of way, this is a good way to increase the power of the zombies in some kind of way. Now, if you feel like that's cheating too much or you don't feel comfortable doing that, what you could do is make the boss zombie a very big, hefty guy. Maybe look at that ogre zombie stat. Make sure those hit points are not too high. Reduce some of those to hit adjustments using the big boss to really test the players. If they seem to be wiping out the zombies, don't leave the big boss by himself. Have maybe 3 or 4 or 5 other minor zombies around him and have them attacking. Now, once they've defeated all these zombies, you can easily make them do some searches, utilize their investigation checks, their perception checks. Depending on the type of players you have, you want to utilize their skills. If there's a cleric, make them make a religion check, make them make an arcana check. Maybe they find a magic book, then maybe they find some leftover scrolls. Anything that helps any of the players that are playing utilize their skills. For the fighter and the barbarian, it's a lot easier. They're constantly just attacking and killing everything, and so they tend to take the spotlight anyways. Now, once they've found that clue, what are we going to do next? We got to head back to town. Now, depending on how complicated you want the story to be, depending if you're running out of time, you can have them going back into town and confront that archmage. Now, again, if they wiped out all the zombies somehow and really got through them, you can easily have the archmage or whoever the big bad evil villain is back in town have a couple of henchmen with him to make it a little more difficult for the players to defeat the archmage. Now, once you finish that and the game is over, that's when again you have to start thinking about that larger campaign. How do I keep the players hooked and wanting to continue down that campaign? When you do that is make sure you keep it about them. When you start looking at those other story arcs that might be surrounding this little small town, don't forget the game is about them. They're your stories, but you want them to be key players and change the outcomes as much as possible so you can continue to build your overall world and your overall story. In my experience, most campaigns only last between 5 to 10 sessions. And so, what you should do, depending on the number of players you have, you should try to incorporate their backstories in either 1 to 2 sessions and have those impact the overall story of your world. Okay, everybody, that's it for today's RPG Boons. Today was a bonus boon. Bonus boons are a way to build upon the previous video material, extra tips that can help improve your game. This is Don Franco 3 with RPG Boons, where we talk about everything RPG and how everything is RP. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment if you want to leave your feedback, if there's anything in the future you'd be interested in me talking about. Until then, see you next time.